Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, your unscripted SEO podcast host. I'm here with Jason Wade of Ninja AI, and I'm going to ask you, Jason, what would you say you do here?
It's like you, it's AI visibility, and that term has become big because SEO, GEO, AEO is just it's a word salad. It's an initial salad. But it's all about visibility. So we help people discover like their authority and it just showcase it. Like if you're the best sedation dentist, you might as well let people know that because you are. You've got the board certifications, all this stuff. So I help people with the entity engineering, deep research. So I know like what the thing is, what people want in their area, what the key thing is that people call on Google or whatever whenever they're trying to make a decision. So that way there's conversion. There's no question about conversion. Like you're the best, so why would they not charge you? That's the thing with all this is it's not just backlinks. It's not just the traditional SEO or the current stuff on LinkedIn about GEO, AEO. It's about visibility. And I argue with people on Reddit. I shouldn't, but the guy's like, it's just about writing. Yeah, it is, but it's about a podcast. It's about all the stuff they don't want to do. Nobody wants to do. And that looks like that's the problem you solve. You third parties. So when somebody doesn't have a podcast, you go do a podcast. You know they're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. You know the stats. Like most people get to 7 episodes if they do it. And that's probably 1% of the population. And probably a large majority, the 5% of the population are the only ones who say they want to do it. So if a company can take that friction away of the work and you or I can take that friction away and do the stuff they won't do, that's where the magic lies.
It's often people just getting in their own way. It's funny because like when I told my mom last year, oh hey, I'm starting a podcast, she's like, whoa, that's amazing. Nobody can do that. She treated it like I was like, like, "Hey, mom, I just became a rock star." And I'm like, "Dude, Riverside is $25 a month. Podmatch, it's, $6 a month as a host, and it's literally Tinder, for podcasting, and you can get people who wanna jump in the boat and talk about things. For my career as an SEO, it used to be, I started in 2007, and so, using Text Broker and trying to, get overseas content writers to create content, because the transcription system was so poor. I remember I was working with Advanced Access real estate website company, and we tried to get record a video and get the transcript transcribed, and it
Right.
was a couple $100, to have somebody hand translate it. And we're like, this isn't. We can't do that. I mean, it's a great source, but now with machine translation being what it is, it's 99% of the time it's there. It usually messes up names, so it's probably going to be, Jason Wabe instead of Wade,
It will. It
in the
will.
transcript. But ju if you have just the most basic checks, you've got 3,000 to 4,000 words in a podcast. That's why, I've created SEO Arcade as like a niche service to create, SEO content marketing services through podcasting. I just set up Home Improvement by H&H Construction just in a week. Already have 3 guests recorded, have a ton of content, have 3 local links from 3 local businesses. Like, it's the undiscovered country, um, of just kind of presenting authority. So I'm curious, you tapped on a word, you said it casually, and it means a lot more. So let's dive into it. I talked to Jason at Calicube about entity optimization before. Fascinating conversation. So let's talk about the concept of entities and how you explain that to people who are coming
So
to you for help.
a good example is if you Google me AI, because there's a rock star with my name. So if you Google me with AI, I'm all over the place. I'm not happy about this, but you know what the AI says? Yeah, he's Mr. Whatever AI visibility, but it's his claims, it's all my claims, because the AI is smart enough to know it's my LinkedIn, it's my blog, it's all this stuff. So it knows I'm doing a good job, but it's like, come on, Jason, right? So that's the entity, right? That's the authority. The AI and it's search engines. Come on, they're all smart enough to know like you know all the tricks. It's your podcast that you're talking about you, and you do a final thing at the end about you, and you're at a blog post because you're training the system. You're training the system. And the beautiful thing about so many people, like in the example of podcasts, are no almost nobody does it. So you're training the system in the easiest way possible by simply just doing the Michael Jordan, showing up early, staying a little bit late, right? A little bit. And having a fire and having competitiveness and whatever else, right? So it's about that. Like it's they're the men, even Google, they're smart enough to know, because think about it objectively. It's in their best interest to have good quality content, to have authoritativeness. Because if you don't have it on Google, you'll go to GPT, right? So it's just like it's in the best interest of ABC to have a good sitcom at 8 o'clock, right? These end at 9. People forget, they sit there for 11 o'clock or whatever time news is. I haven't watched news in 20, 30 years. Um, it's a you've got to have content. You've got to have quality. So if your authority is the quality, because the value is saving people money, not having to look and finding the best, that's what you got to showcase. And so if that's you, don't be humble. Just have other people verify it instead of just yourself. Yeah.
I just did an interview with some travel hacker guys, and they were talking about how the primary crux of their marketing process kind of taps into, what we see in social media right now, which is people literally just saying what it is that they're doing and putting themselves out there. How much of what you're doing is really just, taking whatever it is your clients are doing and just finding ways to repackage and distribute it across the internet and thinking about marketability as signal and signal boosting.
Yeah. So to be honest, I'm not good about this. The last thing in the world I want to do is do a short on Spotify, LinkedIn, or whatever it is. On everybody's all about the shorts, right? And the reach is way greater. But come on, they're disposable. It just goes away. You get the ego boost. You got 1,000, 10,000, whatever views. What did it accomplish, right? But what I'm not good at is doing the system. As you know, as you could do for clients, you could do 4 podcasts a year. Take the audio, take the data, the text, the audio, the transcription. I do it for phone calls because literally I don't want to remember. I don't want whatever. I shouldn't record them legally. But like literally, I never listen to it. I'm not gonna listen to it. Like I drop it in Veed because somehow I signed up for some plan where I have unlimited almost. It's like 8,000 hours of transcription. I'm like, Jesus, Veed, you gave me a good deal for half off. I just rip it. I rip everything because, as you know, that's data. So off of one conversation, I could do a blog post. Off of one blog, you could do 100 shorts or whatever, or not blog, podcast. You could do a blog. And so if they did it 4 times a year, say they spent 10, not even 10, whatever, $1,000, 2,000, the you'll have marketing for a whole time, a whole year. You could do, because it would know, especially if it's an expert. The AI will say, just let them talk. I say, ramble for 10 minutes. Ramble. Because what are they going to ramble about? Their thing. And then that's all data. So you dump it in and it cross
Yeah.
indexes, I like multiple engines, GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Grok, or whatever. And say, I did this last night. I said, write me a year of content or content planning, right? It was it was in Claude, made the whole plan because he's a real estate instructor. I ripped OCR, ripped, equivalent of transcription, everything from every course, 48 courses, everything. She has content for the rest of her life. That's a second brain. Like one podcast could become what, 50 assets? One podcast. Yeah.
Mhm. I think it's an underappreciated moment. If you're going to, if you're an agency model or if you're in the SEO seat at your business, if you're in-house, if you're agency, just ask to be able to record and talk to the person doing a specific service. I had a client on my freelance SEO side doing permacasting and precast walls. An interview with the VP, an interview with the installation guy, yielded so much great content. We discovered, oh, hey, one of the biggest features people ask for these very expensive big concrete walls to protect infrastructure is, hey, can we make it so people can't just dig under this thing? Because that kind of negates the value of it as far as the security. Like, yeah, that's anti dig is one of our core things. Oh, I didn't know that you did that. And they say they have to tell them every single call, "Oh, we have anti-dig capability. We can put it in deeper in the ground to prevent." And like, "Oh, you didn't tell me that." I'm like, "We need to tell them that." Like, make a page, put it as a call out on every, product page, as they're redesigning their site. I'm like, this is a no-brainer, like, but it comes out of the genuine human conversations, like, I don't know where it was that SEOs got into their brain that what they did was sit in front of SEMrush, look up keyword clusters, and make up content without ever speaking to a salesperson, without speaking to this customer support team, without speaking to an actual freaking client. Like, I remember, what was I doing? Like 2014, I was creating content based off of Ahrefs numbers and keyword clusters, and I thought I was the coolest. And I thought it worked great because it was Google only, but it also cut out such a huge loop of, the intimate value, knowing, where are the friction points in your sales funnel? What is it that you're talking to these people to that convinces them to purchase, or what is it that's blocking them from not purchasing? You can highlight or subtract or move around. Like, I recall, a conversation with a lawyer, where we did a whole bunch of optimization. I did it as a subcontractor for a company, and we were like blazed out of our heads, like 200% increase in conversions. And we got on with the team, and they're like, "What has happened to our leads? We cannot close any of the people that you're sending to us. This is a disaster." And we had come to the table with a 200% increase in conversions, thinking we had won the day. And we're like, we've totally we've won the secret Konami code here of success. But because the type of lead we were generating, the people asking, they weren't, the right type of cases. They were for a totally different lawyer type. They didn't even handle that type of case. And we would have known that had we picked up the phone and had a genuine human conversation instead of, "Oh, SEMrush, Ahrefs says there's a ton of volume here. Let's make some articles. Oh, hey, this is working. We're getting leads." No, even if you get leads, leads aren't sales. You gotta understand the
Yeah,
business model.
so many things you said are right. You said something, and so I was checking because one of my favorite things to do is go on Reddit and piss off SEO guys for entertainment. Because all they do is post the same stuff from 20, 15, 20 years ago. Come on, like what are you saying? We all know the game. It's basic bitch stuff, right? Like it's so basic. Come on. Like, but the thing is it's all new. Nobody knows we know what works on the margin that people will not do. Joining the Better Business Bureau, go join, speaking at an event. They say, what is it? Never compliment yourself or praise yourself. You're just showing what you did. So write a blog post about it. I did this, right? And then that's EEAT, right? It's so easy. It's SEO, right? EEAT. Then what about EEAT? What about just shut up, EEAT? Whatever you do, filter it through that lens. Experience. If you have experience, you're not stroking your ego. You know what? Find an intern, pay them $15 an hour to talk about your experience. Expertise. If you're not an expert at what you do, get a new job, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing is these SEO people, they ain't experts. Because when everybody's an expert, nobody's an expert. And I shouldn't have done this. Somebody posted a big SEO person, big about as big as you get, posted the stupidest graphic about jumped from SEO, basically the hack stuff into AI, LLMs, whatever you call it. And then it was a reinforcing self loop, right? Jump to jump to jump to jump to jump. And I was like, yeah, right. And I said, you know what? And I didn't realize it was her. So I was like, if you're doing it wrong. And then I wanted to see because I want to see people's logic because then we can have a conversation about the facts, right? Not just SEO spin, not my BS about AI visibility. Because you and I know what works today might not work tomorrow. But we know if we try 10 things, one or two will resonate, right? And if you're not trying 10 things, zero, you got 100% chance of, you know what, of staying the same SEO guy. Not, not 15 years of experience, 15 years of the same experience, of the same years of the same whatever. Google changed. No, Google changed last year. Yeah, everybody knows it. In December, they did core, screwed everything else up, but it became authentic. They became authentic because you know what? That's what Google did or GPT did. Google isn't creating something, they're reacting right now. Because even though there's 600 times the traffic
Yes.
right now, next year it's going to be 300 times the traffic. It's going to decline so rapidly, like
Yeah.
blueberries to phones in 2007. Insane. Blackberries, the not blueberries. They're eternal. Blueberries are eternal. Blackberries, we're not.
It's interesting. It's looking at the mix. Yeah, you have to be experimenting. It is the heart of a good SEO is an experimentation because, I can sit here and pontificate. I have 20 years of experience, and I can point to any number of projects that had succeeded at some time. Now, it continues to be an open question, and it really has been all along. Like, if you didn't have a good A/B testing strategy, behind the scenes, if you weren't creatively trying different things in SEO previously, it's just as important. It's more important now that you're following, good experimentation rules, knowing what your risk tolerances are. And, I just talked to a great black hat investigator Timothy Momrose, pointing out the big canonical domain,
Mm.
buying an old domain and then pouring bad links to it and then canonically it on. It's back. It's what is old is new again, and it's just figuring out what is new and what is truly sustainable. So, any company, needs to make its own personal decision as far as risk tolerance towards these things, but even within those risk tolerances, it's an unacceptable risk not to experiment at all, and when it comes to EEAC, expertise, authority, trust, I think one of the biggest experiments is just trying to think about that from the context of what are the signals that Google can use to verify that. And I think we spent so much time pontificating as technical SEOs of, "Oh, I need author markup. I need author pages." No, you actually just copyright referencing and bringing these things up, referencing your experience, like, a huge part of exhibiting expertise is in how you're addressing the content and providing information gain, and we spent so much time I think one of the problems in SEO, and tell me if you agree with this, is there's too much looking at the other dogs, and comparing yourself, and half of your process is, "Oh, this guy did this and it worked, and that guy did this and it did work. I'm
Oh my
gonna
God.
do the same thing." And so 3/4 of your marketing strategy becomes doing the same things as the other guy. Your content gap analysis should largely be not what is the other guy doing that's succeeding, it's what are the other guys, plural, all of them, missing that I can provide, how and match that to what is the genuine, USP, the unique selling proposition of the business. Marry those 2 things, find that market niche and amplify and push it as much
Total
as
true.
possible.
And I mean, I'm not good about communicate. I need to be better about communicating my value to people. So if you're listening, hire hire you to do podcast authoritativeness, right? Like you seem to have it down pretty good. And then I can't. I got 3 computers. I can't. They're all disorganized. But is they a good example is this, I think. Um, every day I get a news alert from Grok about AI news, and there's an unreal amount. And I'll be honest, I don't read it. It's too much. It's research papers. It's Grok coming out with 4.00001. I'm like, God, could you just like incrementally and then let us know what's the big one? Even GPT 4.52. Oh, come on. So I was posting these blog posts every day, right? Lazy. I was being lazy. And I was getting tons of traffic. And you know what the AI said? Because this is people don't like this. I look at my site not every day, and I'll be like, I hate this. I hate it. I hate my site. Like I'm giving other people advice about their site, and I'm not taking it right. So I don't know if I copy the whole page, jump it in GPT or screenshot it. I go, what do you think, right? Because it knows design, it knows strategy. It's ripped off guerrilla marketing for 30 years ago, the book, right? It's ripped off all the SEO stuff. So with that person the other day, I read it, and she's like, she had some come back, I don't know. And like, why don't you explain yourself? I say, well, what do you think that I'm not trying to like deflect because people deflect. That's all they do on Reddit because they don't want to. I'm gonna show your work. They go, my work. I go, just show your site, show your work, open source this stuff, right? If you suck, then it's a gift to have people tell you you suck. I want people to. So side note, um, the AI said to me, stop, stop with the news. I said, but I get the most traffic. They said, you're damaging your authority. So people need to be aware of the positive and the negative because if you're a plumber, yeah, you'll get traffic blogging about all the restaurants in your town because nobody does it. So whenever they search to come there to visit their mom, they need a hotel. They don't want to eat every meal with their relatives, so they Google restaurants, right? You'll show up when there's junk. You'll show up when there's nothing. When the restaurant or the plumber, I forget my original example, comes into town and talks about plumbing issues at restaurants and then does the same thing, they're going to be like, this is relatable to their industry. So back to my situation, this is stop doing it. You're going to be known as the AI news guy. You want to be the AI news guy? And I said, I do not want to be the AI news guy. They said, well, stop it because that is what you are telling the AI engines you are. And then when others verify it because they comment great news or they post it somewhere, you just reinforce that. So people do need to be not too careful. Come on, right? Because there's all junk out there. So if you're the least junky junk, you'll get ranked well. But that tells me whenever I do competitive analysis, like on competitors, if they're getting away with the easy stuff, which most of them are from 10, 15 years ago, totally. 15 years ago was still 2010. I remember well. I was doing e-commerce doing really well. That's not that long ago, but it's worlds away, and everybody's still operating that. I used to obsessively analyze competitors until the AI is like, Jason, stop. It's your time to stop.
Chris Tweeton of Spacebar Collective said earlier on Twitter, talented SEOs look forward to Google algorithm updates.
I would agree.
Agree
I
or
think that's totally
disagree?
right because good example. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed by this now. I was doing the TLDR. I was doing the table of contents. I was doing the 20 FAQs. And my traffic, I was all over Google for Central Florida, all over because I did. I go hyper local. I got, I don't know, 100 pages on Orlando. It's obnoxious, right? So I trained the engine for me to be the Orlando AI SEO guy. And I think I'm listed better than in Orlando than where I actually did. And, but when that update came, that core, is this live? Is that how he knew it? Is it? Or the guy who tweeted? Is it? Yeah, is it?
Oh, Chris Tweeton. Um, well, we just got the spam update
Yeah. Oh, okay. I
this
didn't see.
morning.
I don't really pay attention to SEO because it's all going to change. But this is the thing. Google was right. I was wrong. I was hacking the system. It was stupid. It looked like junk anyways, right? It was all chopped up. Either AI slop, whatever you want to call it. It's all slop. There's human slop. There's more human slop than AI slop. Maybe not percentage wise. But like now, because of the update, I actually did stuff that looks halfway decent. So thank you. There's a whole lot of work. December 19th last year. So was I happy? No, because it took a lot of work. In the long run, is it good? Yeah, because I adapted. How many people adapted to that? 50% of the SEOs, 5% of the general public that did their site with GoDaddy or did their site with whatever, and they haven't blogged in a year, but they have 20 blog posts from when they did, and they're all hacks, right? Then that damages the brand. Then Google's like, we told you. Why didn't you change it, right? Like we told you, stop playing the tricks. Junky backlinks, whatever, Like do it authentic. You know, you could have a million backlinks and you get one from the Chamber of Commerce, one from the Better Business Bureau, one from a blog post that you wrote and put up, said, hey, post this on your blog. I'll do the same for you. Verification, third party, right? Better than a million backlinks because AI is like, we know these are all coming from India fibers. Come on. Or Bangladesh or Pakistan.
This yeah, the state of play, the number of it's challenging for me because there is an aspect of, podcasting that provides, high quality backlinks citations being, mentioned on other people's sites if you give the collateral to them after the podcast. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I feel like I have the Konami cheat code for building as much content and as links for whatever project that I want to do, but the water's so muddied because every like, signing up as a new business, like, I took, H&H, they had no website, all they had was word of mouth and a Facebook page, creating the Google My Business, creating their social media profiles, doing the basic stuff, get listed in Bing places, and they started getting calls of these people saying, "We are Google, and you have to pay us $200 to get found." And they're like, "Stop calling." But they actually had to threaten a lawsuit, and they got called 8 times a day for the first 3 days after I listed their business, and they had to threaten them and ask for their address before they would remove them from the list. And I'm like, "What are normal small business folk dipping their toe in? Oh, hey, I've got, this business. I know I need to be online." They sign up and they get hit by, on LinkedIn spam. I can get you all of these links, a cold call saying I can do your digital marketing. It's so noisy that I feel like when I'm standing here saying, I've got the Konami cheat code, I feel like a guy with a trench coat pointing to the watches amongst a sea of folk also opening their coats and saying, hey, I've got these watches too. So how do we rebuild trust? How do we exist as marketers in a sea of marketers who are sketchy AF?
In everything there, in everything there's hacks, everything, right? And that's okay. We were talking earlier and people say fake it until you make it. I would never tell a customer that. I hate that phrase so much, but just do. You don't have to understand. I don't know how the hell my Jeep engine works, and it's 21 years old. I don't know. I really don't care. I really don't care. It works. I don't know how. I do know how AI works. I don't know how a lot of stuff happens, right? I don't know, but this is my superpower, and it ain't a superpower. I just say why. So I want people to say why, and then sit in that because like, why should I do SEO? Well, my competitors doing it. Okay, there's your easy why. All right, and then why should I have a consistent brand? Because Google's smart enough to know that your brand is inconsistent. You've got an old address on there from 12 years ago that people have left numerous comments saying you're not there yet, and you don't even take the time to take it down. Oh, I forgot the password. Email Yelp, right? Do something. So just ask why or how. One word. I really piss off people online by doing that because they'll post something. Let's get political, but like say somebody's a traitor, either side, and I'll say why, and they'll get deeply offended. And I can tell you the psychology behind that, cognitive dissonance and stuff. But for anything, that's cognitive dissonance about everything. Because if you go to a restaurant, unfortunately, I do this stuff. I go, hey man, this is a great meal. Oh yeah, I'm the owner. Whatever. I go, hey man, I checked out your site because I pulled it up on the phone because I'm like, this is such a great restaurant. I hope they have a good site, and they don't. It's horrible. Or it goes to Facebook, right? And I'm like, hey bro, actually I did this. I go, whatever. I like, what am I creating a site, right? It's not going to take much time. And a lot of them won't even do that. I did a site, amazing site with this new barbecue restaurant, good people, good barbecue, start off a food truck or whatever. I did the whole thing for them. It was amazing. And, I did it so that they would use it so other people would see it and be like, holy cow, they didn't want it. And that's fine because I can use it as a base, as a template. Any restaurant in Florida is going to have the best barbecue restaurant. It's better than Sonny's. It's better than, I don't know if you know Sonny's, but any national chain. I mean, because I benchmarked it because I went to Sonny's. I went to the best sites and I said, what are they doing right? I literally go to Perplexity. post in a link, your link, oh, be ready to get some feedback, some harsh feedback, and say, tell me this sucks. Tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. It's a kind way to say it. It's going to tell you. And if it doesn't tell you enough of positive and or negative, dump it in GPT, dump it in something that can search the web. You don't need Ahrefs or Search Atlas. Maybe you do for technical stuff, right? But come on, there's people charging $500 for monthly reporting. It's an email. It's literally an email. You click on a
Yeah.
link, they go, well, our time to analyze it. Duh. Copy the whole damn page of your report, whole thing, dump it in GPT. It'll say, wow, what this is saying is it analyzes it in 10 seconds. And it's better than any analyst because it's cross indexing it from all the knowledge of the world and all this stuff. And it said, Jason, that's what it was. It said, you need to stop doing these news things. I said, they're my highest traffic. It said, that's the, this is it. This is what an analyst ain't going to tell you. You can say, look at this. We did some posts on news to get all this traffic. Ain't you happy? Like, give us money. The AI said, your top 10 things are news things. That's the only reason you're getting the wrong kind of traffic. They're never going to convert. Never. It's people like you and I. So just people need to be aware. Like I'm the worst person about not obsessing. I was doing a site on UFOs. I did a podcast on UFOs, but it said, Jason, this is a well researched site, and I still kept going for 2 hours. Like like you gotta be. So that's the thing is I do this research. Just it's the data. It's the data. The data will tell you stop selling ham sandwiches to a restaurant. If you all you got to do is copy the whole page of your what is it Outlook? What to know out QuickBooks thing. I did that with FPC stuff the other day. I'm not going thing by thing. In the old days, you'd have to type it out, like what you were saying, when you had to do all this stuff manually. It was stuff by podcast and all this stuff. I remember when podcasts came out, and it was like only big people that did them because you had to have a mic, you had to have a studio, and all this other stuff. Come on, you could do it literally with like a $30 Android and the voice only. Not too many people, I don't think, watch, but you'd have to do it because of YouTube to reformat, to chop it up, right? It's interesting. Like people need to not overthink it. Literally, you can Google your business, whether you show up or not, copy the whole page. You say, well, it says copyright at the bottom and all this junk at the bottom. The AI knows it. I copy the whole page, I paste it in, and I say, I'm doing this for ABC Plumbing. It says, well, Jason, they're not showing up in the maps. Their competitor is. Their competitor is showing up in these organic results. They're doing AdWords also. They're showing up because of Yelp. They're showing up for a podcast. This is the thing I hate to ramble on, but what's the advice that everybody gives in SEO? How long it takes? How long?
Oh, yeah, it's always,
No,
a
it's
year
six
or
months
two.
at the minimum. At the minimum, right? And I'm like, I did a podcast and it ranked instantly, like maybe an hour, right? Instantly, because it's authoritative. It's on Spotify, it's on whatever, right? Like nobody else is doing it. Literally, I've done it again and again, especially if it's specific or it's a unique name of a guest or something. Reddit, if it's on the right subreddit, instantly. I could give you examples, but they're legal and I'd have to do it offline. But instantly, like I was blown away. So if you know that, read it every time, do a podcast every time. If you know that a guest, whatever it is that works, and you know how you can tell who works, Google your competitor and yourself and see what pops up. Just copy what works because the Google or GPT or whatever, it's all about the same. You're just trying to get answers and data. It'll tell you the data.
It's funny because I was talking with Matt Brooks of SEO Terric, and it's as much about that moment in Office Space of where it's like, "What would you say you do here?" Like, "What would you say you do?" I take the specs to the designer, the developer, so that the customer doesn't have to. What do people not understand? Well, if you have that, "What would you say you do here?" moment with go to your site, copy the text, and just look at it. Did you say that you have the best customer service? I'm sorry, but serving your customers is universal. Anyone that has customer service, and they're going to say they have the best customer service. But did you say that you had the best restaurant? The best the best delivery of, botanical CBD products, whatever it is that you do. Did you actually say it, or did you get lost in your salesies? Or did you get so obsessed? And salons and health folk are obsessed with not saying anything, but
I
having
know.
giant
Yeah.
pictures. And, like, it's aromatique, and I've got a picture, and you don't have an address, and you don't have a phone number, you don't have a link to book, you never said what services you provide. Just in the picture, it has a picture that says boutique. You know what? There's a boutique that sells stuffed taxidermied squirrels, and then there's a boutique next door that does, hydrology and red light treatment. You didn't say what
No,
you do here. So, it's insane to me how many small businesses I've audited over the years where I've been like, "Let's look at what you actually said about your business," and you said nothing.
I'm of average intelligence. And I go on, I mean, it may be lower end. So I go on Reddit. Oh God, this guy posts because I'm legitimately greatly interested in vibe coding for many reasons, right? Hopefully, everybody should be paying attention to vibe coding. Literally, it's the companies that have increased in value the fastest ever in the history of mankind. Lovable quadrupled in value to $6.8 billion. I used to work for Orkin. They are worth roughly 3 billion or something. It took them over 100 years. It took to get to 3 billion. It took months. For who was it? It was just Manus was acquired after a year, after 8 months. The firm, quite no, they got 4 or 5x benchmark capital in 8 months. Like people, think I forget the original point to all this ramble, but like, oh, so I went on Reddit and this guy, I want to see who's good, right? I want to see who's better than me, to be honest. So this guy posted something, and I said, I don't know what you do. So he said, I do this. I said, I don't know what you do. He's like, we help people crack the system. And I should have done this. I said, you sell crack? And literally, the guy explained it to me 4 times. I'm of average intelligence. It should be, you know what drives me crazy? Politicians in Florida, DeSantis. I can't listen to him. He speaks like a fourth grader. There's somebody bigger than him that speaks like a third grader. The advice for marketing copy is to make it so simple that people can understand. Um, and so the guy, I said, man, I have looked at your site 5 times. I do not understand what you do. I said, I think you help people crack. I don't know why you keep saying that word, but crack the system to get tech jobs. Is that correct? Ugh. I go, you need to have 1 or 2 words. Have the sexy euro. If you, I'm getting to where I'm getting so artistic, arty farty. I don't have the logo at the top left. It just gets on my nerves kind of sometimes when you want that clean thing. But literally, this is the thing too. We used to live in the Keys. Oh, so finally with that guy, he said, well, I simplified it. No, you didn't. I still don't know what you did. There were still 20 words in your H1 and H2. There should be 7 or so, right? So I did this, I did tons of research on this realtor in the Keys, and it was all about one thing. People spend 2.5 seconds on your site before they make a decision, and they make a decision after point 0.5. So what I want is a gorgeous hero, but not too gorgeous, right? Like if you're Morningside restaurant or whatever the name is, do you need to look like Louis Vuitton? No. Is it going to hurt you? Yes. Because people are like, I can't afford this. You need to say, we have the best burgers in Houston and back it up. Nobody cares if you have the most family friendly restaurant. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you have the most extensive menu. That means you're worse. That means you suck at everything, like Cheesecake Factory. No, they're pretty good. The blue cheese is wonderful. But come on, people. Like, we used to live in Keys in Alvarado, and or Dave Poyer, no, I just bought a $28 million house. And anyway, side note. And there was a restaurant in the Keys Plaza, which had like 8 businesses, right? And they had a sign that said, "We're the best restaurant in the Keys Plaza." They were the only, they were the only restaurant. So that's the thing. Like, make a joke about it because they technically were. They were technically the best restaurant, well, the best normal restaurant in Alamorada, not fancy pants, right? So if you have the best burger and everybody tells you that, and all your damn results say that, put that in your hero. Put a burger thing that doesn't look jokey or, emoji. Let's be honest, bottom right, top right, the menu, whatever, the first thing next to the menu and the hero next to a picture. So if you have the best burger in Alamorada, have a picture of the burger, voted best. It's all EAT, right? It's third party verification, expertise, trustworthiness. Have the picture of the owner who's owned the restaurant for 30 years. Because you know what? If a restaurant has the best burger and they've been in business 30 years, come on. All they have to do is sneeze in Google
Yeah.
and GPT. They don't have to technically do anything because all that data is going to come from TripAdvisor and Yelp and all that stuff. So by doing nothing, they earn it. So do they want to hand it off to their kids
Yeah.
and have 10 restaurants? Then do our stuff.
As a kind of wrap up here, give a shout out to where people can find you, your site, your brand, and if they have questions and want to talk to you about SEO AI visibility,
So
how can they reach you?
my site is, or my company is Ninja AI. So ninjaai.com. If they Google it, they'll find the company in California, which is another topic about this. It's ambiguation or something like that. It's ambiguity of who Ninja AI is. So I need to work on that. And then same thing with my name. There's a rock star. So they can go to ninjaai.com or Jason Wade.
Fantastic. I'll make sure it's linked in the show notes. Thanks for the fascinating
It was
conversation,
great talking.
and I'll
Thanks,
see
man.
you around.